all kind of different things. So I believe, and I got all of that, and I'll post certain things. They have him go to a state hospital. Now, from February 22nd, 1969 to March 1st, 1969, he was in the state hospital. Then they extended it and gave him another month from April 17th. And he got out basically, instead of him getting out on March, he got out April 17th, 1969. Now that's less than a year before his life's ended. So what's going on in that period? What's going on from 1967, 68, 69 to 70, where his mental things were, they diagnosed him schizophrenia, acute, catatonic, like basically, like it's deep, man. And like I said, I'm 6, but I do not remember any episodes. I'm trying my best to remember, like if it was, I remember some, he's in trouble again. I remember that, something like that, but nothing, I don't remember anything like that. So now, I'm hearing that he was dating his nurse. Now, I don't know if it's some names that came up that I have, that he was dating a nurse, and the nurse was giving him some type of pills. Now, I don't know what they were. I don't know if the pills that he was getting from her set off the schizophrenia or I don't know, but to me, and to when I was talking to my pops about it, that's where the mind stuff started happening, so who knows what was going on with that, man. But regardless of that, you shouldn't have lost your life, man. Especially that just even makes it more worse if you're dealing with the mental illness and you're not diagnosed, or and that's where the ball drops. So many opportunities could have been my cousin's life. He could have still been. There were so many different opportunities that so many different players dropped the ball. Now, first opportunity gets submitted. It does the argument, the thing with my grandfather. And then he gets admitted, he breaks his shoulder, dislocates his shoulder. So he gets admitted to Boston City Hospital Saturday morning around 7:30 a.m. Now, once he's admitted, he's waiting at, it's this show house. It's this one, it was a room where people they have broken bones and different things, and they do all of that type of orthopedic stuff at this particular section of the hospital. So he was there. Now, once he's there and he's switching, they changing his clothes. They bring him in, and he's not under arrest or anything at this time, but he's already showing signs of different things. Like he's pulling out a lighter, lighting it under the lady's face, the nurse, they tell him to stop, he does it again. And they change his clothes, and normally once they change you and put you in the hospital, Johnny, what they call him back then, they take your clothes, but he wanted to hold on to his clothes. So he started doing different things like that. Now, they had Boston City Hospital had unarmed guards. So they were there, and he was getting so disruptive at the point where one of the nurses basically called the security, said, this guy's doing things. He picked up some allegedly, this is what some of the witnesses is saying. Now these witnesses, these people are not in the same ward or place where the incident happened. These are where people are getting cast, these workers, the nurses in there. So supposedly he picked up some casting shears, I guess the shears you use to cut the cast off, threatened security or something like that. Now, he's still doing this. So, this here is a bombshell. This is, to me, one of the first mistakes. So, around 11 a.m., I guess the nurses, because he was doing all kind of stuff, called a particular doctor who would have said, yeah, we got to put him in a psychiatric ward or something like that. So at 11 a.m., this doctor says, psychiatric in evaluation patient does not have to be committed to a psychiatric institution at this time. I would suggest for this man, Thorazine, 100 milligrams, and be able to handle his violent behavior. Okay, that's at, and then at 11:15, it's hard to read, man. His dislocated shoulder. We plan to So, if you're already showing signs of some type of mental episode, man, let's just, boom. So that was the first drop of the ball. And it's not these nurses or the nurses' aides or whoever they were seeing that there were signs of some issues. They did their job. They did their job to alert doctor that these issues are going on. That was the choice the doctor made. No, he's, let's give him this, boom. So then, after that, man, they transfer him to the ward, and I got the pictures of all of that, and that's where the behavior just escalates. It just gets worse and worse, and different things, and when I look at it all, it's more, yes, Walter Dugan shot Franklin Lynch. But the things that led up to that could have been avoided. Definitely could have been avoided. When I even have the picture of the metal clipboard that supposedly he swung at. So you have different witnesses. You have the Globe reporter, and then you have witness Lorene Powers and Honora O'Neill. They were these nurses. They were the nurses. Now, I believe Lorene was an attendant that was helping in some type of, I guess he was pushing the cart. She told him not to. They went back and forth. But Honora O'Neill was the main nurse, basically calling again to let her supervisor know that we got to keep an eye on him. It's acting erratic. And there was the other patient, Condon, who early had been already, before my cousin even got to that particular ward, had already been acting up. You know what I mean? So you see them go at it. Why do you have them still in the same situation? So they finally bring my cousin up to the ward, and he's assigned at 25. First he asks, is there TV? They tell him no. He asks, is there radio? They tell him no. And they tell him, well, there's a TV by the bed next to you. So he's like, I guess I'm just gonna have to suffer. Boom. So he's doing different things, like he's picking up the clipboard, reading the patient's charts, nothing violent, just things where something's not, something's going on. So as he's doing that, and he starts with messing with Lorraine Powers, Condon, the other patient who was in there with a fractured leg already, starts to talk mess to Franklin Lynch, basically trying to help the attendant, like, whatever's going on. So at that time, now Walter Dugan was there with prisoner Abdullah Hassan, formerly known as Williams, guarding him. Now, he wasn't, I don't believe, handcuffed to a bed. So he was in there for a stab wound or something to that nature. So now you got you got him there, you got Condon, you got my cousin, you got the gentleman whose son was a cop who got shot. You got some other ones, and you have, these are the people there. So now it's around dinner time. Now, back up. Before Honora goes and tries to use his phone at her desk, but some reason it's out of order or something to that nature. So she goes to another office or something and calls her supervisor. She's getting ready to tell him that she's gonna go to have her supper. But once she realizes she can't make the calls there, and she calls the supervisor, she changes her mind because of basically what's going on. She don't feel, she could leave at this time. It's too much going on. But she had initially told, before she went to make these phone calls, Dugan to, keep an eye on Lynch and Condon. The energy was there, was wrong. So now she's making these phone calls. Now at the same time, you have Condon and Lynch going at it again. Now, you have Officer Walter Dugan step in between them, push them both, separate them. This is according to Robert Aglin's testimony. Condon falls and re-injures his leg. It's already been fractured. See, we didn't know. We thought he just pushed him so hard he broke his leg, but he pushed him. His leg was already fractured. He re-injured it. Now, at the same time as he pushing him, my cousin still has his arm behind, and he has the towel over here. There's no mention of any clipboard, any tray until later on down the line. So, as he pushes them apart, Abdullah Hassan, the prisoner that the guard was, Walter Dugan was watching, stands up and starts walking towards the direction. So Dugan pulls out his gun and tells Hassan, get back to your bed or I'll shoot. When he's saying this to him, he's this way, and my cousin apparently swings a towel at the gun. Without warning, Dugan just lets off 5 shots, boom. hitting Franklin Lynch twice. One in the head, one in this abdomen area, pelvic area. Drops, falls into a pool of blood. Hassan goes right back to his bed. The nurse hears this as she's walking up and tries to render aid, and Dugan refuses, tell her don't touch him. And she's saying, I think his arm. She said, he's dead, leave him alone, he's still dangerous. Boom. That's what happened. And then they realized later on that the other gentleman shot. So basically, that's what happened. My gun should have never been on that ward. They should have had something separate. They had called to try to get my cousin into, I believe, something, but one wasn't available till 1 o'clock. And during the incident, here's what happened. During the incident, the original incident that he had at my grandparents' house, now they want to, the cops want to press charges, so they got to kind of hold on him, so it's just a lot that shouldn't have went on, and it brought closure to me to kind of understand, how things work, Are there chances of reopening it? Are there chances? There's always chances. Most of the witnesses are probably, they had Herschel, they had Skippy White, they had Richard Natoli, Robert Englund, George Gravel, Virginia Morse from the Gray Shop. They had even people that what was his worth be, they tried to estimate him, what would it, but what happened, the support part with it had became overwhelming for my great-grandmother. It became overwhelming. You had all of these people coming around. You had this group, you had the nurses, you had that party. It was a bit overwhelming, and from what I gather, it just got to her where she just basically said, I don't need any help. I don't know. And that's where, because if she would have had that same support, like when it first happened there at the civil trial, but once you, and I don't know what she was going through, you know what I mean? It's years now. That's why I'm gonna put an end to this. It's hard on the family. It's, you don't know what it's like when all these people come to you to help you, and the money and this and that, you sue, you have no idea how you're gonna act. And she was a strong woman, so, that's basically the gist of it. It was, but it's just so strange how he mentioned that, and, so. Mental health is important, man. If you know somebody going through anything, definitely reach out and definitely be there and listen to them, let them, get them help. This is Nip Life for Nip Life Media, Nip Media. They call me Little Films, the Franklin Lynch story. Cause, beautiful thing, man. So that's where we at, man. Once again, I'm gonna put some of those documents on the website. So if you go to niplife.com and then you look at the Franklin Lynch story, you'll see links to different things. So I'm gonna stop and give you all the love I got. Thanks for supporting.
'Cause I'm gonna